Hello, everybody. It's Glass Half Dead here, and today I have somebody that you may not know. Uh, what? No, that sounds bad, doesn't it? No,
No,
I
no,
mean this in a good
I'm
way.
just playing.
I mean this in a good way because I haven't really talked about lore, the fluff of Warhammer and Age of Sigmar and Warcry before. Because of that, I thought I better bring in an expert. So today we have Doug from 2 Plus Tough. Doug, do you want to say hello?
Yes, hello everybody. Um, I host a channel on YouTube called Two Plus Stuff, where we talk almost exclusively about the lore behind Games Workshop games, mostly Age of Sigmar, but we're jumping into Warcry too.
Well, I think that makes a lot of sense, of course, because Warcry is in the same Age of Sigmar.
hmm
So, yeah. Do you ever cover 40k out of curiosity?
I'm going to start when I get back from Nova this year. It's a big event in Virginia. I've just kind of been slowly collecting resources. It's a harder pool to jump into. There's just so many more books. But yeah, I will be pretty soon.
Fair enough. And while I've got the lore guy here, what is your favorite Age of Sigmar book?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Um,
Didn't know I was going to be quizzing you, did it?
no, I
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah.
My favorite book so far has been City of Secrets by, I believe it's Nick Horth, who's actually become one of the writers for like the actual, like the story in Warcry and that kind of stuff, where there's a city. It feels very old worldy. Like if you like Warhammer Fantasy Battles, that's an AOS book that you very well might like. There's like a Tzeentch cult infiltrating government and this kind of stuff. So I like that one quite a bit.
Oh, okay, because I had heard of that. I had assumed, for some reason, obviously I was wrong, that it was focusing kind of on what's it called? Shadespire.
City
But
of Secrets?
yeah,
Nope,
there
nope.
you
No, I
go.
mentioned that one.
I probably should have read the blurb instead of just looked at the cover. What can you do?
Those blurbs, I mean, it happens in 40k too, but some of those blurbs are super not trustworthy.
Well, they tend to be super vague, don't they?
Yeah.
Because they don't need to actually tell you anything.
So there's one, the book Black Talon First Mark. It gives you the synopsis of like,
I'm reading
oh,
that
they're
right now, actually.
yeah. So if you read the blurb, it's like they're fighting off this specific cult, and then you actually read the book, and it's like that's literally the first chapter, and then it's never touched on the rest of the book. So it's like I don't know who writes the blurbs for these things, but I love it.
Um, I actually really like it because when I read books, I
hmm
don't want to know what happens. And
hmm
so not knowing, brilliant. Because then I can get all the twists I want. Yeah, yeah,
Totally.
yeah. And I have to ask then, do you have a favorite 40k book?
Um, for me, 40k. What, are we including Horus Heresy?
Sure.
Okay, so yeah, I'll go Fulgrim. The reason I like Fulgrim is because I don't really care for Slanesh stuff very much, but seeing how the best of us slowly turn evil and what that looks like and the excess of that evil at the end of the book, I thought was really cool. Um,
Whereas I
as
see that every Friday night when I go out to a London bar.
Yeah, exactly. Yes,
So yes,
Untamed Debauchery. Yes,
yes. Uh,
that one and Flight of the Eisenstein I think are probably the best books.
oh, interesting. Fly to the Eisenstein at the time it was released, whenever I read it back then,
Mm.
was generally, I think it was the fifth book in the
Uh,
series, and it was generally
yeah,
considered the weakest so far, I think. So interesting.
I I enjoyed it just because it kind of kept you in that sense of like what now? Like something's always going wrong for the main characters. And I just like that. It kind of kept me on the edge of my seat.
I actually liked it. Yeah, I thought it was a
Yeah.
good continuation. And anyway, that's enough about that. Oh, I suppose final thing. Have you read
Yeah.
Hell's Reach yet?
I have not. No.
So that is my favourite Warhammer book.
Okay. I'll
So
write that down right now. Hell's Reach.
it's a must
That's an
it's a
older
must
one,
read.
right?
It's a what, sorry?
It's an older one, right? It's been out for a while.
Yeah, it must have been by now. Yeah, because
Okay.
there's been
Hell's
like other
Reach.
media done based on it. So yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And anyway, that is our discussion of random books to read. Done. We're actually here to talk about Warcry, not just the lore, but also the rules somewhat and how we feel about the game now that we've both played a few games, not against each other, obviously, but in general.
Mhm.
But as I kind of began the entire segment with, you are the lore guy.
Yes.
So, I mean, I've done a little bit of, I've read the whole of the core book,
Mhm.
and I've read Scourge of Fate.
Okay. Yeah.
Because obviously
Can
that
work
was
with
kind of so that's a newer Age of
that. Hmm.
Sigmar book that takes it shows you one of Archaeon's champions that is slightly higher up the pecking order than the Warcry
Hmm.
bands. So he's already a champion with like a whole war band behind him, a whole army
Yes.
behind him, um, and is slowly advancing through the levels to hopefully become an actual. I've forgotten the name of what they become.
One of his Varangard, which is like his
Varangard.
honor.
That's the one. Yes. So he's
Yeah.
hoping to actually become that.
Mm.
But that's not entirely relevant to Warcry. Anyway, what do you think is the defining, like if you had to hook somebody into Warcry with
Okay.
this kind of a single paragraph or sentence,
Okay.
how would you tackle that?
Um. Hmm. Let's see. So I had to hook everyone. So I hook people with Warcry lore in a single sentence. Um. It is like every army sent in their A team, and they are all equally the best and also the scrappy underdog, and they're all there for various reasons. And then when they all smash, it turns into oh man, what's the name of that movie? Um, I can't think of it right now. But anyway, just a whole bunch of just like powerhouses come together and just crash into each other. It's an absolute blast. When you start to understand the lore behind the various factions, why they would be doing X, Y, and Z, all their motivations clash in one place is really fun.
Interesting, because I would have gone a different way.
Go
I
for
would
it. What
have
would you do?
said, so I would have gone with, oh, it's a completely different way actually. I'd have said, if you want to learn about real life in Age of Sigmar,
Hmm.
this is the thing to read and to play.
You know, I get that because there's a lot of mortals, and that's kind
Yeah,
of like the defining thing is that we haven't had a lot of chaos mortal stuff. Well, I guess when I think of like common life, I'm more excited for like the cities of Sigmar, which is the humans and average folk of the realms
yes.
coming out. But I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, it is certainly a step down from like the demigod, all hyper fantasy level, and much more relatable. Yeah, so I definitely agree with that too.
Both correct and both completely different. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the best of humanity. Like these guys are not weaklings; they're not your average dude. They're like gladiatorial powerhouses.
Oh
But
yeah, yeah. Like I mean, the Splintered Fang that I literally just like 2 hours ago opened up and had a look at. They're all,
mm,
as you say, powerhouse gladiator,
hmm.
shamanistic, crazy assassin type people.
Hmm.
But at the same time, if you put them up against a single Sigmarite, or
Yeah.
in the fluff, not in the
Hmm.
rules, the Sigmarite guy should just wreck 'em. The Stormcast Eternal.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm calling them Sigmarite.
No, that's fine. So it's interesting. Like I think the game did. We'll talk about this later when we get to our games played. But like they did a really good job of like making a Stormcast Eternal seem like this demigod of might and toughness compared to the normal people, while still having game balance. I think they did a good
Hmm.
job.
In that case, I have a slight side question, which is purely for my
Okay,
own interest. Um,
got it.
in Warhammer 40k, in the
Hmm.
fluff, a Space Marine is effectively a one-man army. He can,
Yeah.
like 10 of them can pacify an entire world. That
Hmm.
they're that level. They're ridiculous, which is very
Hmm.
40k. Great. Is it the same for Stormcast Eternal?
No, they
Okay,
don't. They never went that
okay.
far. Um, like there's actually quite a few stories, and even the short story novellas that came out of Stormcast just getting the crap kicked out of them.
Ah, good. Hmm.
They get beat down pretty regularly, actually.
Is that because, again, a very Warhammer syndrome here,
Mhm.
is that because they're always fighting another demigod? But
um,
actually, if there were just three or four normal blokes, they wouldn't be able to take them, or what's the kind of power level? Or is it kind
I
of a
would
bit
say
vague? I don't know.
it. Some of it's vague. I mean, like with all Black Library stories, because I have read a lot of 40k. There's a lot of that stuff where it's like, sometimes a Space Marine, 10 of them can take a planet, and then sometimes one guy just gets taken out by a turret, and you're just like, why? um, and so there's a little bit of that where it's like in some stories they're truly demigods, and other stories, there are stories where what in Soul Wars, one guy, like, their shields don't work against Nighthaunt, the ghosts. They just reach in there, grab their hearts, and crush them. To killed. What else is there? I mean, yeah, there's not really a power level. My sense is that they're probably just strong as like 3 to 4 humans.
Okay, interesting. Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, so I completely cut you off there.
No.
Do you want to kind of lead the charge on the actual Warcry lore and fluff discussion? Do you want to break that down for the guys?
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to. So in the setting of Age of Sigmar, there are 8 different mortal realms. These are just places that are almost infinitely large, and they're all defined by a type of magic. And what the only way to get between them is either to like be a god who can just kind of move wherever he wants, or using realm gates, which are basically just like portals, right? I mean, it just goes from point A to point B. Could be between realms, could be different points in the same realm. There's like just a bunch of them everywhere. The reason that's important is because there's only one place where it's like one city that has a gate to all 8 different realms, and it used to be called the the All Points. And when Chaos came and tried to conquer the realms, basically Archaeon, who is kind of the Abaddon of fantasy, right? The mortal big bad bro. He set his sights on that specific point, and so he conquered that. And so with that, he's able to then send his armies everywhere. And so he fought a war on 8 fronts and made things all messed up. The reason that I bring all that up is because the actual set for Warcry is set inside, which he's renamed the Varen Spire, which is kind of his domain, if you will. And all of the different factions you see here either want to join Archaeon's army, are being called by Chaos to do something mysterious, or are trying to stop him or infiltrate the place for some reason. And so it is each of the gates is highly defended, and so only small warbands can sneak in. You can't march an entire army in, otherwise it'll alert everyone and you'll be dead. So that's why it's a skirmish game. And then within the Varen Spire, there's a whole bunch of different, like there's like fallen cities in there. There's big open fields, and it gives you a chance to build terrain for whatever you want it to be. So you even within that smaller space, there's narrative room to do whatever you want in terms of terrain and that kind of stuff. Yeah, so every faction has their own reason for being there. For example, most of the Chaos warbands, they are Chaos Undivided. Even though they have hints like in the models of leaning towards a Chaos God, they're not. So for example, the Iron Golems, when people first saw them, they're like, oh, those are the Khorne guys. Like, nope, they're not Khorne guys. But their religion, their perception of chaos, leads them to be great craftsmen. So they want to build weapons for Archaeon's army. And then you have the Corvus Cabal, who individually worship a single Chaos God, but they see chaos as a whole as like this great devourer and hunter and that kind of stuff. And so they're hunting eyes that they can find, because that's where all the strongest people are, is in that circle, that kind of stuff. So you get a point where the narrative behind it is only having small warbands in a space that is big enough to accommodate all different kinds of terrain structures and that kind of thing, and then giving everyone a really cool reason to be there. Does that sound like a synopsis?
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty spot on. As you say, there have been already quite a few developer interviews where they've openly talked about the influences behind each warband and how, exactly as you say, they're not educated enough if you will, or
Yeah.
educated in the same way that we are,
Hmm.
to know that they're worshipping Slanesh or that they're worshipping Khorne. They don't know those
Yeah.
names. They are doing what they do, and there's probably a god that they're doing it for, but
Yep.
they don't actually know. And yeah,
Yeah. Actually, a really cool book if you're interested in that kind of weird in between space of like being a chaos follower but not actually knowing who the chaos gods are.
mm,
Gav Thorpe put out a book called The Red Feast,
okay,
um, which is super interesting. One of the main characters when AOS first came out was a Khorne guy named Corgus Cull. And it's kind of his story of being a super good person, and a bunch of events happen, and so his tribe has this like old religion. I think they call it the Fire Marked or something like that. But basically, it turns out to be Khorne. They were worshiping Khorne the whole time, but they didn't know it. It was like just how we would look at some ancient religion that was long forgotten kind of thing. And so he kind of devolves into that, and over time it's revealed to him who he's worshiping, but he has no context for it. So it's kind of interesting. It's again, at that point he's a Chaos Undivided, but also doing stuff for Khorne. So if that interests you, that's a good book.
yeah, no, I do think that side of it is very interesting and does lend an element of realism to it almost. Like,
I like it more. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like, I totally accept that, at least in 40k, it's kind of explained to us, and I assume a similar notion is presented in Age of Sigmar, but that when we are reading a text from a codex or from the core
Mm-hmm.
rulebook, we're actually reading kind of the transcribed imperial version. So
Mm-hmm.
we get all of the High Gothic references because that is how someone transcribing something would explain it.
Totally.
Whereas, you know, Imperial Guardsman B down on the ground may have never ever seen a Chaos Demon before. He doesn't know what they are.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, to his entire homeworld, they were probably denied to exist. That kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, yeah. There's quite a bit of that in AOS. Not so much in the beginning, like the first books, but it's definitely been ramping up more and more. The Beast of Chaos book is a good example of that, where they're like, we don't know where they come from, but then it kind of lists off like these are what the scholars think. But of course, your average dude wouldn't ever know that. They just see a dude running at them.
No, indeed, which I think is pretty cool. So,
Yeah.
what else do you think is critical to know about the Warcry lore? I mean, obviously, I say critical to know. None of it is. You don't have to know
Right. Yeah.
anything. You could just roll dice. But what do you think's
Um,
good?
just a few notes to really hit on. I like the fact that all the Chaos Warbands are striving, they're being drawn towards Archaeon. There's actually an entire book series of which Scourge of Fate, I think, was at least a bundle that was called The Call of Archaeon, which is a sweet deal on some short novels if you want to catch up on these kinds of things where um, even though Archaeon's not a Chaos God, he still has this presence that draws champions to him. And so that's a cool book for like he pits them all against each other. It's the exact same kind of thing we see with Warcry. It's almost a blueprint for how the book works, for how the game works, rather. Um, so that's kind of a cool thing. But even though they're all looking for Archaeon and trying to join him in some capacity, he's not actually there necessarily because he is mortal. He has to go lead battles around the different realms. So they're all fighting to get to an empty throne. And hope to get his attention. It's not even like a come to me and I will crown you a champion, this epic thing where it's just like you're going through all of this to even try to get a 5-minute elevator pitch with him. Which I think, I don't know, I just like that. I like the gravity of how much higher above everyone else he is.
Oh, well, on that note,
Yeah.
shall we say how powerful he is? So, my understanding is that
Mhm.
when the whole end times, etc., Archaon kind of lived, and Nagash is the literal god of death, or is he a god of death, or is he just a
So
super powerful mage?
sort of all of the above.
Okay.
Basically, the way the gods work in AOS is like they're tied to a realm, like they embody it, but they don't necessarily control every aspect of it. So, for example, like with Nagash, he's the god of death because he is just permeates death magic. He embodies what the realm of Shyish, realm of death, is like, but he does not control every last ounce of death magic, there are death mages that don't worship Nagash out there using it as well.
He's not a fan of that, though, is he?
No, he's a very jealous god too. It's not a good idea.
But so obviously he is the most powerful kind of almost godlike mage character, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe at one point he kind of trod on Archaeon's toes and Archaeon just smacked him down.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. That was actually a super cool thing in the books, where basically there was a point where all the gods, all the except the chaos ones. I don't like how much they use the word god, but so you have the pantheon of good gods all against chaos, and Nagash is like, I'm going to be sneaky. I'm going to bow out of this fight, let the chaos ones trounce the good guys, and then I'll just clean up the rest. Like, he thinks he's so against all 4 chaos gods at once, and did that. Things fall apart. It's when the Age of Chaos begins, and Archaeon understands the folly of his arrogance, walks right up to him and just like smashes him, and it's a really cool fight.
Awesome. So that is obviously, he may not be a god, Archaeon, but
Yep.
he's practically god tier. I mean, he's not chaos god tier, because they're always ridiculous, aren't they? They can kind of do anything and nothing at the same time.
Yep.
But if you want somebody to be punched in the face, Archaeon's the guy.
There's one of the things. So, like me, as much as I do love AOS lore and stuff, the idea of what makes a god is very poorly defined at the moment. Because he's not the only one kind of at that level. You also have Marathi. If you're familiar with the Daughters of Cain army, she's like the big snake lady model.
I wasn't aware she was
kind of
the same level, actually. Okay.
She's not quite as strong, but she, I mean, she's a powerhouse. Like in the lore, she rides with the gods, so she chills out with them. So, yeah, so it's not really, it's kind of hard to define his personal power level, but he's a beast for sure. So being on his team and being like his number 2 guy is a good spot to be, and that's what all the chaos factions want.
Yes.
As far as what the other armies want from all the other stuff, they all have super different motivations. Going from the Stormcast, who found out there's a vault full of weapons underneath the Varen spires. They're trying to infiltrate and basically from Archaeon, that kind of stuff. I say guns, just weapons.
And I assume because the Gloomspite Gits, of course, have the best reason to be
there. Just cause.
They're there to steal fungal beer, right?
Yes.
I think it's something like fungal beer or something, yeah.
Yeah, let me find that out here. It is... Oh, okay, I lost the page with it on, but yeah, they're always in the hunt for different kinds of mushrooms, and the weird kind of warping power there makes something very specific that they want for their concoctions. What else you got? You got Deepkin looking for different kinds of treasures. You got
the Nighthaunt. They're there because of the Necro Quake, right?
Yes.
Do you want to tell people what that is?
Yeah. So when they started the 2nd edition of Age of Sigmar, they basically created an event that would affect all factions simultaneously. And that was the Necro Quake, where Nagash was back after Archaeon kicked his tail and enacted a giant ritual that was going to kill every mortal and then resurrect them, and he would have a near infinite army. He's like, okay, now this is what I need to actually fight chaos like he was going to do before. It would, however, screw over everyone who's good. Like, it would just instantly kill everyone. And the Skaven, which is the rat people of fantasy.
The best race, to be clear.
Yes. Infiltrated and screwed up the ritual. And so what happened was it didn't work quite. It partially worked. It's like 50-50. So not everyone died, but a bunch of undead everywhere came to life, but with no... So they're just kind of roving bands of ghosts and that kind of stuff. And particularly because of the amount of cities and that kind of stuff that were in the Varen Spire, that highly densely populated area I was talking about, just a whole bunch of undead just like shot up. So it was interesting. It was a cool event because every army then has an enemy no matter where they are. Like there's always something happening, basically. And yeah, that's the Nighthaunt.
Okay, so that obviously explains why the Nighthaunt are in the Varanspire, because they were literally just raised there.
Yeah, and that's the story for quite a few things. There's also a bunch of stories in the Rumgate Wars of, which is like the first campaign series that came out of the OS, of Chaos came in, killed a bunch of people, and there's just enough death magic around to resurrect them, so they're trying to avenge themselves, kind of thing. I'm trying to look for the page on that, but can't seem to find it. But yeah, so I mean, there's in the back of the Warcry book, there is a campaign. So I got the Glimpse Bite Gets one here that kind of gives you a synopsis of why they're there, as well as like some different battles so that you can go through to recreate that kind of stuff, that quest, if you will.
Yeah, I think the campaigns at the back of the book are quite fun, and actually I found them really reassuring. Because moving on from lore a little bit there,
Mm-hmm.
I was quite concerned that they had just added the regular Age of Sigmar factions
Mm-hmm.
because of popular demand. I'm going to use the word popular demand, but
Okay.
but because pressure, or you know, the suits came along and said, "Hey, we've got to sell this to Age of Sigmar players. Put the
Yeah.
factions in." And obviously the design of like, but I've just made like 8 factions, and what do you mean? And so the fact that they have like campaigns in the book, at the very least, says, because they have such a long lead time on, printing books and making all of this
Yeah.
stuff, at least to some degree there was some real planning behind adding in the Age of Sigmar factions.
Oh, absolutely. I would agree with that. I mean, so when they first announced, like, well, they didn't announce. They just showed us the Chaos armies, and people were like, "Oh my god, it's just going to be Chaos. This is terrible." And then they announced that there's like 12 other factions. People were like, "Oh, they just added those because we were mad." It's like, no, because of production time. It was never not there. Like from the time that they
Yeah,
announced this thing.
no, I
Um,
agree. As far as I can tell, they can't do anything in 6 months. So yeah, like that seems to be
um,
roughly their production time minimum, seems to be 6 months on anything.
yeah, from the time the product is, you can start to showcase it and build up in the shelves. Regarding, I think it's decidedly a chaos focused game. This is definitely the most support. Like, for example, all the Chaos Warbands all have 2 campaign due, whereas anything that's ported in from AOS has 1.
Well,
So it's
actually, oddly, the Eternal Flame guys and the Spire Tyrants only have
mm,
one each as well. And they're also the only 2 factions for Chaos we haven't seen at all. No idea
what
why.
is that?
No idea why.
Interesting. I
Yeah.
don't know. The chaos focused game, and then based on its location and that kind of stuff with the lore, perfect sense.
Yeah. No, definitely. I agree, and I think that's totally okay. I mean, as I said, one of the things that interested me was learning about the real life of Age of Sigmar. So yeah, that sounds good. Although, I suppose, do you think we are going to get the free guild added to Age of Sigmar? Warcry, sorry. Obviously, they're being added to Age of Sigmar.
Well, first I gotta figure out what models they're keeping because they just dumped a whole bunch of that line. That's kind of been the nerd rage of the week for Age of Sigmar.
Yes, yeah.
Largely warranted for people who actually listen. So I'm sure. I want to see them definitely add more. I want to see Fire Slayers. I want to see, or maybe not the ships, but the little round groups with guns. That'd be kind of cool. I mean, there's a lot of room to expand. I'm actually kind of glad they just started off, like let's get this balanced first with FAQs and that kind of stuff, and then we'll build on that foundation. So I'm willing to be patient.
Yeah, no, I agree. The game right now seems relatively small, but that's fine. You know, we already have rune marks in there called
Mhm.
Gargantuan and Mount, or I think, which those don't exist. No unit has them yet, so I'm looking forward to those.
Deepkin eels have mount.
Nope, they have fly, but not mount, which is really weird. Everybody agrees, yes.
Looked at their cards yet, so yeah.
Well, you would assume that they have mount because they're mounted, but they don't, which is just like the squig
Hmm.
hoppers also don't have mount. Yeah, yeah. So I assume there will be some sort of expansion which will be heroes, and some of those heroes are going to be mounted, which would be pretty cool.
Well, I've played 4 games now, and the thing that I can look at this and say is like this was built, because all they would have to do is say or a super action that takes up both of yours or that kind of thing, and it drastically changes the game. Moving into gameplay and that kind of stuff, because I know you posted a picture on your channel about share, and I'd be interested to hear those.
Oh, sorry about what you cut out just for a moment there.
Oh, no problem. I was just gonna say we can start talking about our thoughts on the
Yeah.
game and that kind of stuff.
Yes. So, um, I guess first I've only played twice, so
Okay.
I'm not exactly a seasoned veteran just yet.
Nobody is. It's been out
No,
for a week.
yeah. And how did I feel? Well, I guess first impressions are it was very quick to learn.
Hmm.
Me and the person, first time playing with both of us, we followed the little rules summary that comes in the
Yep.
box. Great. That was a very, very useful rules summary. And
Hmm.
we powered through the first game. I didn't time it, but it was fine.
Yeah.
Oh, we played 3 games actually. And I was a little bit concerned because the first time you play a new game, you're like, well, how much am I actually gonna, and then am I going to be missing loads of rules? But I
Yeah.
don't think we did. There's not
Hmm.
much to miss, which is both a good thing and a bad thing.
Yep.
Um, then the games themselves, so we didn't have the official Warcry terrain, so we
Okay.
proxied some stuff in.
Hmm.
The terrain we proxied in completely changed the way the game played, and actually, basically all of the walls were 5 inches high with no see-through.
Okay.
So suddenly it's like, oh. And the
Did you?
first game I played was actually the one where you put in round two,
Hmm.
when both of your reserve teams come on, you declare one of them holds treasure. And then
Okay.
all I have to do as the attacker is kill that guy and pick up the treasure, or if the treasure is on the ground, I win. And he had deployed behind one of these walls, and I literally couldn't get him.
Uh,
So it was like, ah, okay, fair enough, fair enough. Um, Second game was a similar thing, but the other way round, because we drew the one that is -1 inch to move, and I had flyers. I was Stormcast, so I had 12-inch move flyers, and that meant I just didn't care really. Uh, whereas he was actually really held back by that, and instead of being where he wanted to be turn one, he had to wait till turn two. But by turn two, I was already in place, and I had moved guys beyond the objective, so I was blocking him, and we still enjoyed rolling dice. But was it balanced and fair? Possibly not. And, I don't feel that every single game has to be 100% perfect parity between all partners. But I do think that given a certain build of your team, you should always stand a chance.
with that game that you play that you just described, on the cards they have missions that are specifically for match play.
Yeah. So the first one wasn't, and I pointed it out to him, and we were both kind of like, yeah, okay, fair
Yeah,
enough,
fine.
right? The second game was for match play, and it was equal and even. Although I've got to say, I'm blanking a bit. In match play, you don't use twists, or you do use twists?
Too. But
You
because there's also twist cards that have match play as well.
okay. I did not see the match play
I
symbol
think.
on this one, but I didn't see it on any of them. So that's obviously me not paying attention.
Here, 1 second.
Sure.
There's
Um,
some because you can pull out all the ones with the beast or something like that. I might be lying on that one.
okay. Yeah, I couldn't see any with the match play symbol. But they all have different, like some of them are the mind effects, some are physical effects, some are beasts, etc. Yeah, we definitely didn't play with the beasts. We actually drew one of the beast
Yeah.
cards first, and although it sounds like a fun little mechanic, we didn't actually use it because neither of us had any beasts. So it was like,
Yeah, I did the same thing when I did all my games. Let me see. I'm trying to find the rune marks to figure out what some of these mean. Um, I don't know. All the different twist cards have rune marks on them. I know there's a way to distinguish more gamey.
what's what? Yeah, yeah.
There's
Um,
the top of my head.
I think that if we had used the correct terrain, then actually it probably would have been much more even. And if we hadn't used a twist, then it would have been a genuinely balanced game. Saying that, we also played a game where I was playing Stormcast,
Yeah.
and we drew Dawn, whatever that is actually called. So round one, I was limited to a 3-inch attack. I was like, oh, shall I just concede?
Yeah.
It turned out okay, actually. It turned out
Yeah.
okay. But yeah, saying, oh, I just spent 200 points, a fifth of my army is this guy with a huge 20-inch gun. And then it's like, no.
Uh, I
Damn.
would definitely encourage people because I mean, I mostly did narrative and open stuff for AOS. I don't really like always
Sure.
these competitive match play, and so I would say just ones that you just don't have the stuff for. Like I don't have the beast either, so I pulled those cards out of the deck. Um, Play it out because the thing is gun on that guy, even though you don't shoot it first round, like it's killer. It can be killer. So yeah, always. And it's a quick game, so you know what? You're done in like 30 minutes. Reset.
Yep, so that is, of course, yeah, I suppose I should say kind of my overall thoughts on it. I I've heard other people's opinions, and they always say it's not Mordheim, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know why you'd have to say that. It's so not Mordheim that you don't even need to say it. Obviously, I do know, but it's because people are saying, "Oh, skirmish level Age of Sigmar must be Mordheim." Like, not quite. Um, yeah, if you go into it expecting Mordheim, you are going to be so disappointed. You will hate the game.
Mhm.
I didn't do that. I knew it for what it was: quick, fast skirmish, and it gave me exactly that. And it was quick, and we threw dice, and you still, because of the dice, had that turn of, oh, I crit 4 times, oh, I've killed you in a single shot, and then you saying, oh, I rolled 4 ones. So you still have that drama of a typical Games Workshop game,
Yep.
and that's great. However, and I haven't solidified my thoughts yet, but my current thinking is, while I did enjoy it, I don't know whether or not it's going to be a game that is heavily competitive, and that's fine. You know, the community decides that, not Games Workshop, really. So we will figure that out on our own in time. But my personal preference, and I heard somebody else say this, so not my words at all, um, is that if you take one of the larger games, so 40k or Age of Sigmar, and you say, okay, well, these games have 100 miniatures, we're going to give you 10. I say, that sounds great. I can probably play that quicker than a full-size game. Let's do
Mhm.
it. But what they have also done is they have removed rules as well. I prefer, with a smaller amount of miniatures, to have rules added. For example, with Kill Team, a very small change, they give you the obscurity and the injury roll. Those completely change the game, in my mind, to how 40k plays.
I do.
And while they have also completely changed the way this game plays compared to Age of Sigmar, they've changed it, I feel, in the wrong way. I would have liked, odd as it might sound, an extra roll. Just a little bit more granularity. So it would still be a faster game, it would still be fast paced, but there's something in there. I don't know what, obviously, but they went the wrong way with the rules.
Super valid. What I would say, as far as my high level thought, like you just gave yours, different. There was no points. That's actually when I started my YouTube channel.
Oh,
I was having a
you
blast
cut
with
out a
it.
little bit there. Did you want to repeat that?
Loved AOS when there were no point values to it. Making up my own games and telling my stories with my friends. And so what we've seen is Age of Sigmar go from that to becoming of people trying to get into the game and kind of struggling because now you have your army book, the core rules, the ever changing general's handbook. It's kind of like stack stuff on all the expansions, malign sorcery, that kind of stuff. And the game is evolving past what I find enjoyable in terms of like competitive stuff. Like I enjoy playing the game. I take my army book, but I use the minimum number of rules possible for that exact reason. I don't engage with any of the expansions, something like that. My point is that playing Warcry, it kind of reminded me of why I fell in love with AOS in the first place, as far as like there's some thought involved and how you activate your models, what actions they do, setting yourself up for success next round. Team, once more boxes get out there and we can all start really digging deep into the actual chaos teams, not just the stuff we already have armies for. And yeah, I don't know. So it just reminds me a lot of that time where it's simple, low stress. We roll dice, we laugh, we have fun, and we make some really cool stories out of it. My philosophy on gaming is, I know that you said you like things a little bit more granularity. For me, it's like, how can I roll the amount of time spent, because I want to get lots of games in, or I don't have a lot of free time, with the lowest number of die rolls, but with the highest number of memorable experiences. Of just looking back, like, remember that one time the guy with the bone saw cut your guy in half, like something, ridiculous stories like that with my friends. And that's kind of what it's been providing me. The games I've played have been with Stormcast and Bone Splitters, and every one of them I've just had something crazy happen because of dice spikes and ability cards being fun, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, but here's the problem is, like, for them as game designers, we are both 100% correct. And that's always been the problem. Because to what you're saying, like, if they had come out and said, like, hey, Warcry is a narrative game, that I think expectations would have been managed a little bit better in terms of the competitive stuff.
Sure. Yes. No, I agree. I don't think so much that for me, but for the group that were like, I wanted more time. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, they never compared it to more time. They
No.
always said it was a fast skirmish, like fast-paced, kinetic war
Yep.
game. They never said like build. So
Yep,
I
yep.
think people that wanted that were completely just wish listing and have no valid foot to stand on. But no, you do have a point. But they can't ever say that about their product.
No,
They
no,
could
of course,
never
no.
come out and say, this is a narrative game. Do not play it competitively.
Yep.
Right? That would
No,
it's
that's
like nobody would
everything's for
buy it.
everybody because that's what sells stuff.
Yes. Yeah. Which
I go for it.
I was just saying, I think that can be done though. I mean, as
Oh
you
yeah.
kind of say with Age of Sigmar, e- okay, my view is you have to begin with a balanced competitive game
Hmm.
because if you have that in place, let's say chess, right?
Hmm.
Uh, Now, obviously, if you get really in depth, people say that
Yeah.
white is the stronger, but let's not go that far. Let's just assume that
Actually,
yeah, let's just assume it is a 100% perfectly balanced game.
yeah.
If you start at that level, then it's so easy to come in and, for example, with chess, say, give them that Warcry deck and pull out, a twist and say, oh, actually, knights can move twice in a turn. Now
Yeah.
that might not be balanced, but suddenly it's a game that the competitive crowd aren't going to touch. They can say, oh, well,
No.
actually, the fact that knights can move twice and bishops can also move forward one square and then diagonal,
Yep.
completely imbalanced. They clearly didn't do any playtesting. It's like, well, that is
Exactly.
possibly true, but
And then someone buys their bishop from Forge World and it can move six
oh,
squares.
yeah, they're yeah, indeed, yeah. But if you start from the core balanced game
Hmm.
and then expand out, the people that don't want to expand out can say, yeah, I like the core. I'll stay
Yep.
there. Obviously, it's kind of happened the other way around for you with Age of Sigmar, where you had that unbalanced core, um,
Yeah. No,
and
I'm,
said,
I'm happy to say
I love this
that.
unbalance. This is brilliant." And then they
Hmm.
gave you restrictions, and you're like, "Don't like that." Um, and have added more and more rules. Now, I do think everyone agrees with that little statement you said that now you have to have the core rulebook. Oh, well, actually,
Hmm.
it's only 4 pages, isn't it? But you have to have that, and you have to have the codex for your army, the battle tome for your army, and you now have to have the malign portents expansion, and you've got to
Yep.
have eternal spells, and suddenly you've got 10 books, of which you
Yep.
need a single page from each. But that's just Warhammer. That's just Games Workshop. That's how they
Oh
seem to
yeah.
it. That's not. Yeah, that's their business model.
Totally.
Even
Well,
though
and I
they're.
think that'll happen. It'll happen to Warcry.
Oh, of
I
course.
mean,
Yeah, yeah,
like to make this a competitive game, it honestly would not take much. The framework
yeah,
is there.
yeah. Sure.
If they came out with like Warcry Onslaught book expansion, and you have 5 more abilities, and I don't know, some kind of save after the save, maybe a new rune that has like a save after the save kind of thing for a little bit more granularity. Yeah, you
Sure.
can do a lot. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
I
mean,
don't really want another general's handbook of one more book to buy annually, but
no, neither do I. I mean, presumably you're not that into Kill Team, but Kill Team is
Mhm.
now potentially a 5 book game for Kill
Oh
Team.
wow, why?
So you
I
got
mean,
the
I play Kill Team like very irregularly. I have Death Guard, but like
okay.
what are the
So
books?
you've got the core book. You've
Okay.
got commanders. You've got elites.
Oh yeah.
You've got rogue trader, and you've got arena.
Hmm.
That's 5 books. Now, obviously, that would be a very niche. You'd have to be playing 2 armies to need everything there,
Right.
because the only way you'd need rogue trader is if you were playing one of those bands, and then you wouldn't need
Hmm.
elite technically. But anyway, that's beside the point.
Yeah.
There are 5 books that you need to have everything for Kill Team, and
Hmm.
it's a small skirmish game at 100
Yeah.
points.
Exactly.
What are you doing, Games Workshop? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And I entirely expect, as you say, that Warcry will end up being the same. I think
Hmm.
we are going to get the arena expansion. gladiatorial combat or whatever it's going to be called.
Yep.
And then we're probably going to get the gargantuan expansion where everybody gets one big model.
Yep.
Now that sounds awesome. I've got to be honest. I want that. I want
Yep.
that more crusher for my Iron Jaws. But I don't think we're going to get that. But that would be very fun. Would it be competitive? No. I doubt it. But yeah.
No, totally. And that's I agree with that. I mean, as far as like the accessibility of the game is crazy. It's out there. Because I'm already like writing rules based on stuff that I've seen, like different actions that could exist, or taking the mechanics from the Walking Dead miniature game and applying them to Warcry so that all the beasts activate independently and chase your guys down on both sides. I don't know. Acts like a third player, but
kind of like an NPC deck, sort of.
Sort of. So in the Walking Dead game, basically every action that you do has a noise associated with it, and if the more noise you make, the more zombies come towards you. So it'd be very
That's
very similar.
kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Yeah, sure. Yeah,
so if you say like, go for it.
No, I was just say like there's plenty of scope. To do what you want to do. As you say, the core mechanics are there, and if you want to add things to them, go for it. Go nuts. Yeah.
So, I enjoyed my games. Like I said, I played 2 games with my Stormcast and 2 games with the Bone Splitters. Bone Splitters they're hard to do well with.
Oh, really? Okay, interesting.
So basically, I have a bunch of more boys, so I don't have the cheaper dudes. That's on me. I was already in the middle of building a Bone Splitters army, and I started with the more boy units. And I was like, oh, this will be fine. And so my experience is a little bit probably filtered by that, but they can be extremely fast. Like, you can easily get movement 10 dudes, which, you do a move and you're on the other side of the board. I don't know. It's really cool, but they're toughness 3. You're just like, oh, everybody dies.
Yeah. That was what scared me off Bone Splitters originally. Or now that I've seen all the rules and played some games, I'm not somebody that can just look at rules and know. I have to play games. I have to play. And I'm definitely more of an elite unit person. So the Stormcast are perfect because they're they're T5. They can hit quite hard. Lots of hit points. I'm like, yes, good choice, me. Well done. That was lucky, wasn't it? And that's definitely how I prefer to play in general.
That's awesome. For me, it's probably somewhere in the middle. I don't like hordes. Like one of the games I played against was against Gloomspite Gits, which is the goblins.
How was that, by the way?
It was a ton of fun. Basically, they have a lot of dudes. He took a whole bunch of Gits with spears, and then just I think 2 or 3 squigs. And the squigs are a ton of fun. He didn't do the riders, just the ones on foot, and so everything is about pinning your opponent down and letting the actual squigs do the work because they're so much better than fighting. Figured it out real quick, but once you can thin out the numbers a bit and there's nothing pinning your guys down, they fall apart. Like there's a good balance of I'm cheap, but I die to a stiff breeze, which I like quite a bit.
Interesting. Okay.
I think I don't know. I mean, there's stuff online about how people are going for the cheapest possible unit because then you get the most activations and just trying to flood the board. We tried that with him and his army, and they just anytime you have a mission where it's about holding an objective, they can't they don't have the staying power. I had one Stormcast. No, that was the game with my Bone Splitters where. They have bonus attacks and that kind of stuff when you with your ability dice, that kind of thing. They just haven't tried the the Necromancer, Legions of Nagash, Necromancer with a bunch of skeletons. Yeah, that's another one that's very horde based. But I don't know. Try it out.
Oh, interesting. Because
Mm-hmm.
my fear had been because in Kill Team, if you don't know, hordes are pretty strong,
Yeah.
and in I had been similarly afraid that just what 15 because that's the maximum amount.
Mm-hmm.
Goblins or gobos, whatever they are, spear chuckers, I
Yeah.
can't remember, just shoved into the middle of the board. Yeah, you kill them in one attack, but there's still so many that you just can't chew through them, and they therefore, even though you do eventually kill them, because you're only going to battle round 3 or whatever, you literally don't have the activations to kill that many models.
And that would be super true in missions where killing models is the goal, but if you draw something like Assassinate, they have the weakest of all heroes.
Right.
So like their leader can be one-shotted by quite a few things. um, if they have to hold multiple objectives, like more than your opponent, all of a sudden those numbers are getting split. Stuff like Gryph-hounds, where combat they can attack, and then do a bonus attack and retreat with their ability dice. So you can chew through stuff very, very quickly.
I did find the Gryph-hounds really good, actually.
Yeah,
I've
they're
got to
super good.
say. Yeah, because they're doing that. I can't remember what it's called, but it's not pounce. It's you're already
uh,
engaged. You attack and then disengage,
yeah, it's
which of course.
I think darting attack or some
Oh,
darting
yeah,
something.
that rings a bell.
I
Um,
got it right here.
yeah, that's really strong. Yeah,
Yeah, darting attack. Yep. So that one's been pretty cool.
is that a triple?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. I ended up using that on pretty much all of the trips I rolled. Yeah, very
Yep.
good.
That one and the base bone splitter one that they can all use is charge, which is a bonus move as long as you end within 6 inches of an enemy model, like to the nearest one. So you can use that and then attack. That's pretty cool.
Oh, nice. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or if you kill the guy in the first swing, then you move bonus and then move into the next guy and do a second attack. So I don't know. It's kind of cool. There's a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of the bone splitters are based on movement, which is weird for an
Such a
orc
slow
army,
army.
but
Yeah.
but it makes them cool. So
No, I mean it's good because
yeah.
I personally love the aesthetic of the Iron Jaws, but I do
Mm-hmm.
not want to play a 3-inch movement army. Like, yeah, that sounds horrible. And if you play
Yep.
in that one that I played in, Swampland Bog or something, where
Yeah.
everyone's -1 to their move, you're playing a 2-inch move army.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout through a 3-turn game, your movement is 12 inches total.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
I,
Like, yeah,
I do think that some of the twist cards do give a really crappy play experience because that twist not even twist. So in Age of Sigmar, they introduced Realmscape features, which is your entire board for this game has this additional rule,
yes,
which
yeah,
sometimes is really good, but sometimes it's crappy. There's one in the Realm of Life where it's like it's muddy, so everyone's oh no, was it you can't run unless you can fly. It's like okay, well
right.
Iron Jaws are speed 4 as well. Like that's a not fun play experience. And then you have a Night Haunt guy who can fly everywhere and just so go
Interestingly,
for
I believe they
it. Mhm.
actually use those rules, which to me, when I heard them, were like, ah, well, you use them if you're playing casual, fine.
Yep.
They actually use them competitively, don't they?
Yes. Yeah, and that's kind of
That's
been the issue that I
nuts.
have had. And where I was kind of going with that is just the idea of, you know, to make this a competitive game, it's going to come down to saying, this is the mission. You'll figure out deployment at the table. But here's going to be your twist, and telling those things up front so people can either one, like build their list around them, or two, just give the TO a chance to filter out ones that offer a negative play experience. Right? I think twist rules, if you're just getting started, should always increase what's going on, increase carnage rather than reduce it. So
I
the
think
one
that's
that's
a good
like,
rule. Yeah.
hey, every attack with a range of 3 or less gets an extra hit die. Yes, do that because that makes more
Yeah.
things happen, whereas slowing people down makes less things happen. So So they're not all equal. I'm pretty sure I'm going to pull out the ones I don't like, but no.
And speaking of that, obviously I haven't looked through the whole of the twist deck, but I believe there are some that do that, aren't there? Like everyone is +1 strength or something.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah.
I was a verbatim one I just used in a game
Nice.
the other night. Yeah, I'm not sure what it's called, but yeah, there's.
It exists. Yeah.
Yep, there's one where it gives everyone +1 strength on all their attacks if they have a range of 3 or less. There's ones that are about far away. So there are some really fun ones that make funny things happen. Let's see here. This is fun. Add 2 to the value of abilities to a maximum of 6. So if you have any abilities that are like, whatever the value of these dice are, all of a sudden you get to jacked up super strength, which is like
very nice. Yeah.
That's
good.
That's what the game needs. But
yeah, no, I agree. As you say, the rules should be additional, not subtractional. Good English as well. There. Yeah.
Yes.
But
just they should always be encouraging meaningful interactions between you and your opponent versus pulling those away. Because even, let's say like I gave my example of an Iron Jaws versus Nighthaunt, where one is not affected by the rule, the other one's terribly affected. But even if you both are equally, in equal measure, screwed over by the rule, doesn't mean anyone's having any more fun than the other.
Yeah, if the rule is it stops you from interacting with your opponent, it is a bad rule. I think it's a pretty safe blanket statement to say.
Yep. And I will say there's very few of those.
We just both got really unlucky.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. I was filming a battle report over on the side of the office this week, and I was actually like going through one by one to try and find a twist that matches the story I wanted to tell in case somebody wanted to recreate the game that I'm playing. And so I'm reading every single one of them, and there's like only like 3 or 4 out of this huge deck of cards that are like that. But when you read them, you're like, no, that can't be right.
Interesting. So you're doing battle reports for Warcry then?
Yes, I'm pretty new to the doing battle report stuff. I do a lot of work with a channel called Rerolling Ones, which if you're interested in Age of Sigmar battle reports, they do theirs. They do top-notch stuff. For me, I do the battle reports of the kind of games I was talking about before, where focus a lot less on die rolls. I do a lot of voice acting. I get people to act in it as well, narrative scenes, that kind of stuff. It's more like a little narrative movie than it is a hardcore battle report based around tactics and that kind of stuff. So yeah.
No. Yes, furthering to the Rerolling Ones there, I actually was watching some of their battle reports just the other day as I was trying to track down Warcry battle reports that weren't just using the core Chaos factions, and they've done some with Iron Jaws, Stormcast. So good battle reports.
Yeah, they do good stuff. So like, I think that's going to be. I think we're going to see a big spike in popularity because everyone's Googling Warcry, and then it's just a news bloat thing. And then I think it'll end up kind of being like Kill Team or Necromundo, where there's a more dedicated fan base that's really interested in the expansions and how the game develops and that kind of stuff later on. So for mine, like, I didn't use anything from the actual Warcry set because I got mine late, and so it's the Corpse Rack Mausoleum and Stormcast versus Bone Splitters.
Well, that's a lovely bit of scenery. That from what I saw looks super functional for the way Warcry plays.
It is, with the caveat that there's no multi-level terrain.
Yes, true. Yeah.
And that it matters more for some armies. Like Corvus Cabal has bonuses when they fall on they bounce on something. So it didn't really matter for these 2 specific armies, but it does for some. However, I will say that with all of the terrain expansions, I guess I'll call them, the Corpse Rack Mausoleum and the Storm Vault thing.
Savage Lands is what they're called officially, but yeah.
Yes.
Nobody knows what that means. Yeah,
I know. It's a 40k property, like Warhammer property. Every land is Savage.
Yeah.
But they each come with their own deck of how you place terrain cards, and there's always like 12 or so that are mixing in the core Warcry set. so you can add that multi-level stuff. So that's kind of an interesting note that I didn't see when I ordered it.
Yeah, I've just opened up the Shattered Storm Vault, and again, there's I think it's 11, which is such a weird number, but yeah, 11 cards. I think it's
Yep.
because 6 of them are not symmetrical, and then 5 are. So I
That makes
assume by
sense.
the end of it, you're going to end up with the number they want you to have of symmetrical pieces that can be swapped in and out. I don't know. But yeah, that Shattered Storm Vault looks lovely, I've got to say.
Yes, I have big plans to not that set specifically, but the rest of that line, that modular line. There's one that's a big circle, like a big disc platform.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make a gladiatorial pit out of that and do some cool stuff. So
Okay, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
yeah.
Are you literally just going to turn it upside down?
No.
Okay.
No, because
Because
it's so ugly on the other side.
No, yeah, indeed.
No, I'm more mean just having a table like that's in the center of the table, having weapons all around it and obstacles built into the wall. So if you go too close to the edge, you get hit on a spike or something like that.
Very nice, very nice. And that
Yeah.
is, of course, incredibly thematic for Warcry.
Yes. Yeah. And so, can't remember the name of the website. Who already put up like a blank card template, so you can start making your own if that's what you want to do. If you like that kind of thing. So like I want to have, if you're familiar with the monster, the Korgorath, he's this big bear-looking thing that came in this.
I know, yeah.
Yeah. I want to have him fight a warband, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
to be honest, I assume that is what Warcry is going to do itself, because as we were talking about the rune marks that haven't been used, one is Gargantuan. And I assume exactly that kind of model is going to be Gargantuan. And
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know how they're going to fit that huge model into being balanced exactly. So I would expect it will be a much more narrative, thematic expansion that will be exactly
Yeah.
like that.
It.
Pure speculation.
No, totally, and that's all we're all doing. It's all good.
Yeah.
I think in terms of balance, if they focused on having a lot of terrain, that one of the balancing factors, because like in the core book, even though we don't have gargantuans and cavalry, whatever they're called, there are rules that say, hey, they can't go up here, they can't go through these kinds of doors, and so if they lean heavy into like creating curated environments, like telling you how deployment works for your buildings and that kind of stuff, it is possible to balance that kind of stuff. Of saying like, yeah, your Korgorath's a beatstick on the ground, but he can't go up this building. And if we have a whole bunch of buildings, wandering around doing nothing.
Yeah, no, that would be pretty cool. Yeah. Randomly, as you said that, what could be quite fun, you could probably do it even with just the core set terrain, is creating almost like a maze. And I know that the Beastmen have a guy that's basically a Minotaur.
Yep.
That
Yeah,
sounds,
little labyrinth.
yeah, replay the classic Greek myths in Warcry. Don't know why.
There you go.
But yeah. Awesome. I suppose final question for Warcry specifically. Doesn't have to be the
Yeah.
Chaos bands, but so ignoring Age of Sigmar, what is your favourite warband from either Fluff or Crunch or both?
Aesthetically, my favorite is the Corvus Cabal, the bird guys. I love the skull helms. I love the poses of them. For me, like when it comes to models, if it's not dynamic, it picks motion very well, I'm not typically super interested. And they do that, I think, better than any other ones. So that's my favorite warband aesthetically. Rules wise, so far, I've only played 3 of them because I tried the Iron Golems once, but they're not painted. I like what I see about Bone Splitters. I just need to get better at using them. The movement, focusing so hard on movement in that size of a game, it can be brutal. And I noticed that there's a lot more possibilities on where I can go and flanking people and that kind of stuff than other facts. As I've played right now, that's a big asterisk.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
I think yeah, like I said a little bit earlier, now that I have played a game, I can look
Mhm.
at a card and actually
Yeah,
put a
you have some
value to it.
context.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. Instead of before, I was like, oh, that looks nice. Now I can
Yeah.
say, oh, it's only got a toughness of 4. That means everyone's going to be
Hmm.
wounding me on 4s, which means blah, 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 blah. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. No, indeed, indeed. I think my oh no, there's another question. There's another question
Okay, yeah,
because
go for it.
okay, you can only pick one army, one faction. If you could only
Okay.
pick one faction, which one would you want to be added to Warcry?
So one faction in Age of Sigmar
Yeah,
that hasn't been added.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Man, that's tough.
I know. Yeah,
Probably Carriage and Overlords, the dwarves with the ships,
yeah.
because I would love a quad ability that calls in like an orbital strike or something like that from their ships in the sky.
That's very cool.
Um, or they have a harpoon gun, so pulling people towards you. Yeah, their model range is just fantastic. I mean, it looks.
No, I agree. I actually built some up to proxy as something in Kill Team once, but then scrapped the project because
Mhm.
I'm everywhere with my hobby. Um, but no, I really like them. I was so disappointed when I then looked at Age of Sigmar and realized their gunboats sucked.
Oh, they're terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're
Which is
hot
like,
garbage. But that's
yeah,
yeah.
it was like the whole point of the army,
Hmm.
gunboats. What
That
shouldn't you use in a game?
gunboats.
Gunboats. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's that is my go-to source for when people are like, "Oh yeah, just lower the points." It's like there are some things that points can't fix. Like
Yeah, yeah.
it it, it doesn't work. But
I,
the cool idea is there.
I think the best way I've heard it described again by somebody else. None of my ideas are good. I steal them. Is you know how when they take like photography for these big armies,
Hmm.
and they always look awesome and epic in their White Dwarf 2-page spread.
Yep.
Get a photographer, give him the entire model range, say set it up however looks coolest.
Yeah.
Then get the rules designers in and say make that army good
Hmm.
because then you have all the coolest units and they are
Yep.
playable. And I think that's a very
100%.
good decision, actually. Um, so you went Kara Hadron Overlords. I am gonna go Skaven.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a solid call.
Yeah, yeah,
They got a lot of cool stuff going for them. A lot of
yeah. Well,
the
they
team
have a
has the Gatling gun would be awesome.
yeah, yeah. You've got uh, they have a really big model range actually because they
Hmm.
weren't squatted almost after end times. You can still buy almost the whole range, I think. Um,
Yeah, they didn't lose much. They were broken
yeah,
up into a bunch of sub factions,
yes,
and then with their battle tome, they put them back together.
yes.
I don't know
So
why, but
what Warcry is going to add from them? No idea.
Mhm.
Could be
No.
anything. Could be anything. They might say, okay, well, we're going to go Clan Eshin only, which would kind of make sense because, they're the sneaky guys. So maybe they've
Yeah,
snuck in. Or they might say Pestilence only or one from each. Who knows?
yeah,
But yeah, yeah, they
I
are
like
the
it.
ones that interest me. And yeah, there you go. Well, Doug, unless you have anything you want to wrap up on there about Warcry?
Um, Go to your local store, give it a demo, and see for yourself that there's a lot of ways it's going to expand. And then, you know, if you don't care for it, that's totally cool. Come back in a year and check it out because that's the same way they did with Age of Sigmar for a lot of folks. They're like, I don't like this, and then in a year when the General's Handbook came out, they're like, all right, now we're back in action. So just keep your ear to the ground for what's going on with it, and don't write it off.
Wise words.
That's right.
Wise
Yes.
words. Yes, good. Okay. So, Doug, do you want to plug your channel?
Yeah. So if you want to find me, so my name is Doug. I am the host of 2 Plus Tough. Basically, if you type in Age of Sigmar lore in YouTube, you will find one of my videos. And I have lore for each individual faction. I do an entire week dedicated to each army. and then a whole bunch of stuff just about the setting and the environment. Talk about new releases, that kind of stuff, and how to get started in the hobby, jumping into the game.
That is exactly how I found you. I was interested in starting an Age of Sigmar army, just kind of, bubbling away in the back of my head.
Mhm.
And I was like, typed in whatever it was, Sylvaneth lore. And then
Yep.
I just found your channel and just like chain watched the entire thing. Because I was like,
That's,
well, I
that's
may only be interested in Sylvaneth lore, but why not learn about the end times? You know?
yeah.
And so just like autoplay, paint, done. Yeah.
Yep. And I have stuff broken into my playlists organization is top notch. It's my one strong suit. And so if you want to find information, you can always find what you're looking for. So
Awesome. So definitely check out 2 Plus Tough, Doug, who is the preeminent scholar
oh my gosh.
on Age of Sigmar lore, I definitely say. And this has been our just little chat, bat around of a ball about the Ball of Warcry, I guess, and just our thoughts on it, how we felt after we played, and obviously you've just listened to it. I feel like I'm doing the introduction. This is meant to be the outro. I hope everybody's had a great day, and I hope
Yeah.
you continue to have a great day. Check out Warcry. We've both enjoyed it. We are both going to continue to play it because it gives us something that the main game doesn't, but we also enjoy the main games as well.
Yep.
My channel doesn't know that, so I'm not going to tell them I play Age of Sigmar, but maybe I do. And that is that. Thank you very much, everybody. This has been Glass Half Dead and Doug from 2 Plus Stuff. Have a great day. Bye.